want to present an alternate method of assembly, and eventually you will work in and find applications for this. So I'm going to hit R on the keyboard, maybe. All right, so it pulls up everything so that I can see. So I want to add references. So let's just go through the list. The driver wheel. So if I rotate this around and I were to pick this edge, and yeah, no, I thought just had a thought, if that was reversed or not. So time to check. When you think of something, that's the time to look at it and verify and check your what ifs. And the reference geometry on the S key goes to mate reference, which is the same as coming up to the features and going to reference geometry into the mate reference. So by picking that edge, I'm going to get a concentricity and a coincident. So I can save that, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave that open. Do the R again. The pin driver. I'm trying to pick what I think are appropriate. Maybe they'll work out, maybe they won't. Mate reference and edge default. So under default mate alignment, we're going to see it probably on the pins more than anything. Any align closest, pretty much whatever you get. And then save. And no, I don't want an iPhone. Turn the notifications back on temporarily, and that's what I get. Oh, now I'm out of sequence. All right, so the R button, get back into it. We'll grab the rod. Same thing. Pick an edge. S key. Mate reference should be good. R, and we can get the arm. Pretty much either one of those. Probably would pick a bottom just so it doesn't do any weird flips. S key, mate reference. Alright, we'll save that one. The slider, I don't want it to be that positioned, so we'll go with the face. S key, mate reference. And so now, default tangent or concentric, we'll go with concentric. Any alignment, so we'll verify that when we apply it. And save it. Let's see, should be getting down to the last of the pins. So I would say this one, we'll go with the edge again. And there are ways, I can't say that I've ever successfully used all the secondary and tertiary references the way that I expected them to. It does something, but it doesn't do necessarily what I want. So another one of those, do what I want, not what I told you to. So the cylinder, S, mate reference, concentric in this case, and we'll go ahead with that. And save, and then the last one should be the support. So I'm building in this a couple of minutes of adding these mate relations so that we can see how it affects the assembly process. All right, so especially if I had a toolbox component or a design library component, these are going to be very functional in our selections. So we're going to start off with a new assembly, and I'll keep it in millimeters. Our first component will be to insert the base. Oh, I guess I picked part because I did not expect to see that. So let's try again. New. Yep, I picked part millimeter. Let's go assembly millimeter this time. And then now that everything is open, we're going to see it in this list. And let's see, except for the base, which I did not open. So let's grab the base and go with it. I'm going to do the checkbox, and it goes assembly, applies the F in front of it for the fixed. And then we're going to, if I stay with that insert components, we need the pin driver. I do not see the thumbnail preview, so how about the pin slider? So actually that's the one I need to rename. All right, so we're going to check and make sure that our mate reference applied correctly. So notice that I get the little symbol, and when I place it, it's going to put those mates in for me. All right, so that mate reference applied the concentric and the coincident, and all I have to do is lock the rotation. So one of the things I can do going through this is decide which ones are going to rotate, and while I'm thinking about it, I'll go ahead and turn off the origins. Insert component, existing part or assembly, and now we're going to go with the driver wheel. So the nice thing about selecting them is we can just click on the face, and then we have the rotation. Let's try it out of the design library. So this was the pin driver. I'm going to drag it. Oh, not sure how I got the arm. Oh, you know what? I did it again. I had everything selected. So in effect, that's what we don't want to have happen is it grab everything and drag it in. So watch the file explorer over here. Yeah, it's kind of defeating my purpose to have all of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. This is supposed to be a look how efficient this is. So let's try that again. Picking on just the pin driver. There it goes. That was what it was supposed to do. So when you have multiple items, it's not as, maybe not as functional. All right, so making sure to select just the arm, dragging it in. So this one aligned to that face, which when we look at the slider mechanism and its pin, how those are going to align. All right, so still pretty efficient. You know, anything that kind of trips me up like that, though, I get a little nervous about. So pin, make sure it's selected, pin. All right, so there we have, I call them the stack of marshmallows, and can place it, and it comes up with the concentric, so that's fine. We said that those were 16 millimeters, so we can do an 8 millimeter. That would be halfway. All right, this also works with the control select out of the list. All right, but not sure where it placed it, but we zoom out a little bit, find it. And I'm not going to worry too much about those. I'm going to go back and put a coincident mate. So control select, and even selecting out of the work area, we get our concentric, rotate around, try it one more time. Okay, and then I'm going to pick the first one, and this one I do want to use the paperclip mate out of the command manager, mainly because I can go right into this multiple mates, and we're going to make these coincident, and I'm going to pick the top faces of the other three, and even though it's going to add an individual mate, it gets all four of the pins in on the same mate. So if I look at the very end, coincident, coincident, coincident. I don't really care about order. If I need to go back and diagnose it, I'll do that later. All right, so let's go back into our list. We'll find the support. Got to get into that habit of picking on just the item. I can rotate that around. I could pick a different combination of mates, but still, I want to be pretty certain that those pins are staying in alignment, that I haven't done anything, have anything weird going on. So let's selection tools. No, I am looking for select other. I want to say in previous versions it was on the list, but coming across I found it as an icon. And what that's going to let me do is go transparent and be able to see that inside geometry. So it found it. Let's see if I can hold down the control button and get this to work the way I'm expecting it to. So it's highlighting. Oh, so I was picking it out of the geometry, and it's not staying. Oh, maybe it did, and I'm not hitting the right sequence. So that and concentric. All right. So it's a little tricky. You got to do it a couple times to get the logic and the workflow. So we'll drag that out on a control. I'm going to place it and let it snap. And we'll try the select other again. Okay, so face, and not seeing it show up in the list. So okay, I had it. I just got a little button happy there. So we'll go back to the File Explorer, make sure that we have the rod selected, drag it in. I don't like the directions, so making sure that I'm still holding down the left mouse button, hit tab and it reverses it. And then the slider can go to that position. We grab the pin. And again, that's kind of stuck in there somewhere. I don't really see it. I hope it's there. It added it, so I know it's at least somewhere. So under the assembly, go to move component. It has it selected. Maybe. So I also have an isolate tool. Oh, that's interesting. It aligned it to the rod. So that can happen with our geometry. All right, so this is a place where I'd go back in and edit it and delete the alignment to the slider and replace it with the alignment to the vertical hole. And then that can come out some distance. And it's going to move a little bit strange, so we'll go ahead and pick the face. That should make it coincident, but I want it to be a distance. I believe the hole is 5 millimeters, so that's going to give us from 16 millimeters, going to give us 11 millimeters standing out. And then we can go ahead and pick the 2. All right, so there's a point where now we're in collision, and as I move that, it's starting out in collision. I mean, I hope it's obvious, but not always. If I tried to do any kind of move, I would be, it's still going to let it operate. But of course, on our physical build piece, that's not going to work too well. So we'll go back in, oh, not mate references, mates. So the first coincident, concentric coincident. Okay, kind of diagnosing those. Oh, that was the drive wheel. I need the pin driver. So as I'm highlighting these, I'm checking them, and then I can edit the feature and switch to distance, go 2 millimeters, and accept. All right, we'll save it. And this will be my 5-17 alternate assembly. Now get this rotating over. All right, we can check that it has the dynamic motion, everything in place. So not without its tricks and traps, but another method of going through the assembly. And if we were doing a lot of these components, we would be able to save a little bit of time.